Good morning, everybody. Good morning, David, Alan, John, Craig, Sergio, Michael. Hey, there's a message from me. I'm doing a free market math class at 10:30 a.m. And if maybe you're not on the mailing list or whatever, you haven't seen 9 gazillion emails about it. Well, the Zoom link is, scroll up in the chat. The Zoom link's up there if you want to come hang out 10:30, learn some Fibonacci stuff. It's a little different what I do here on YouTube. So, and there is an opportunity to buy a more in-depth Fib class in this free Fib class. So, Gary, Imuku, Arturo, Anthony, Francois, Mad P, Svenborn, Jason, David, Mallory, Ted, Merle, Donald, George, Darlene. I don't recognize your name. Good morning and welcome. Nikki, Rungamer, glad to see you as always. Working on those Teslas. Jan, Terrence, Mary, Gregory, Tom, and Pat, Austin, Devin, Alan, Andreas, Tim, Infinity. Welcome, everybody. If you want to chat with me like all these awesome people right here on the stream, hey, Ray, click the subscribe button right over here, right down here. Click the subscribe. A few seconds later, you can chat on the live stream while I'm live. If I'm no longer live, you have to leave a comment down below. So, whew, how about that inflation, huh? How about real inflation? Real, like, a Chick-fil-A sandwich up 21% in the last 2 years. I don't know about you. I don't think the government's 3% is very truthful if a Chick-fil-A sandwich, and the nuggets too. I mean, the nuggets, ridiculous. So, I mean, let's be honest. Let's be honest, right? I mean, come on. Reality check. CPI reality check. This is the stuff we buy, right? Right here. We got to buy food. You got to buy food for your kids. Got to buy food. I mean, look right here. This thing up a whopping 21% over the last 2 years. I mean, delicious, right? But that's real inflation right there. That's the real deal. So, it's not price gouging. Like when you raise the minimum wage to $17 and $16, guess what happens? You can't afford to sell a sandwich for $1. It's like the $15 Big Macs. I mean, McDonald's not stupid. They're going to robots. All this is doing is essentially eliminating jobs. So we're not going to have kids aren't going to have fast food jobs they can go get as we increase these minimum wages. California's mandated $20 minimum wage for fast food restaurants. Guess what? So it's all a ruse. I mean, and inflation, this is the real kind of thing we pay for. So I don't know about you. Stuff's not cheaper. It's not going back down either. And this is a double whammy too. Like, as we buy less food, GLP-1 drugs, anybody? As those super consumers buy less, guess what happens? We got to raise the prices on all the other to make up for it too. So, this is like a perfect storm of bullshit coming together. So, anyway. There's lots of companies that'll provide the robot. Actually, China is going to provide the robots. China has positioned themselves to be the biggest robot producer in the world. The U.S. isn't, China's leaving us in the dust as far as robotic manufacturing and end-to-end solutions for manufacturing. And, whether that manufacturing be flipping a burger on a grill, that's a manufacturing. I mean, whether you want to look at it that way or not. I mean, that's manufacturing a sandwich to put out to somebody, whether it's dipping a chicken sandwich in hot grease, putting it on a bun. So China has positioned themselves to end-to-end provide the solutions to solve this problem. Yeah, scary, right? If you don't believe me, go read, just Google it a little bit. Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, New York Times. I mean, they all have articles about it. So, scary times. What happens when the U.S. loses its edge, right? I mean, look at that, $6.99. Chick-fil-A sandwich, $6.99 in New York City. 8-piece nuggets, $7.09. 8-piece nugget. I don't know about you. 8-piece nugget doesn't fill me up. Anyway, hey, Kimberly. My lovely wife, Kimberly, here with us today. All right. Moving on. So, check this out. So, when we have greater than 10% returns on the S&P in November and December, which, guess what happened in 23? God, that was last year. Hard to believe. We're already in 24. So, 23, we had 14% November, December returns. Typically, look what happens. Like, this has only happened a few times where we get giant ups in November and December. And 1954, 1962, 1970, 1985. My face is not in the way. But 1998, 98, 2020, and 2023. Right there. We had one of the largest November, December returns ever. Only beat by 2020. January, we have typically followed that up with more upside. All right, the average, about 2.4%. Now, Q1 typically is up 6.6%. And for the full year, we don't know what 2024 is going to give us, but the average, look at these numbers. Crazy numbers, right? Usually we tack on about 19% right there after a big up in November, December. So we just did that. We just did 14.2% November, December of 23. What do you want to bet on? It's going to happen this year. Now, January may be choppy. We may not throw up positive numbers. 83% of the time we have, but we have that outlier there where we didn't. This is not like 30 cases, so it's not necessarily statistically all, don't give me that. I mean, we use the data we have at this point. 100% of the time, though, we've tacked on full year, tacked on another double-digit percent gain so far. Is 2024 going to be the outlier? Could be. But just because it's happened 100% of the time in the past, doesn't mean it's happened again. Remember, all trading involves a substantial risk of loss. Past performance, not necessarily indicative of future results. I mean, just because it happened in the past doesn't mean it happened again. Just because I got it right in the past doesn't mean I'm getting it right again. This presentation is intended to be informational, educational, fun, and entertaining. It's not a recommendation to buy or sell anything. No stocks, no options, no bonds, no futures, no Forex. Don't long them, don't short them. No cryptos. Don't long them, don't short them. If you desire personal financial advice, you got to consult a financial advisor. All right. And this goes for stuff from gurus too, like myself. Like, if you don't trust me, don't buy stuff. Like, if you don't trust whoever you're trading with, like, there's tons of people. I mean, even Jim Cramer sells some junk. Like, if you don't trust those people, don't buy their junk. All right? All you're doing is perpetuating the bad that's in this industry. I mean, seriously, a lot of people don't even trade that give you stock recommendations. It's ridiculous. It makes me sick. That's why I started doing this. I want to help people get ahead. Hopefully with some... No, I'm not using the new camera. I bought it for next week. Doing a live stream somewhere. Going to do a remote live stream next week. You got me off, Sergio. I'm going to do an in-person studio audience next week on location with my VIP group. And so I'll do that before I take apart my studio here and put the camera in here. So just letting you know. All right. Moving on. Calendar. What do we got coming up? Let's load it. So, yesterday, we had some JOLTS jobs that hit, and everything was just kind of in line. We had the meeting minutes come out, and we turned a little sour. We got a little hopeful, and then we just kind of kept dragging on down. So it's kind of the expected reaction. And today we're getting our non-farm employment change, a little positive. And we're seeing some unemployment claims climb too. Well, I mean, decline, excuse me. They're just hanging in there. They hang in there right around 200. We churn about a 250,000 jobs, in between 2 and 300,000 jobs. That's just the way our economy. When you have as many people as we have, between 2 and 300,000 people suck and get fired. I mean, or quit or whatever. I mean, then they go file unemployment. So that's just when you got when you got as many people working as we have. That's about the normal. Now, what's interesting to me, though, is that the normal pre-COVID was actually a little bigger than the normal post-COVID. Now, look over here. We used to churn a little higher than we do now after post-COVID here. So, are they baking the numbers? I don't know. Maybe. Did people just quit and go homeless? I don't know. Anyway, that's interesting. Now, tomorrow we have all the big jobs numbers coming out. Non-farm employment change, unemployment rate. We'll get the ISM services PMI. And that could be some volatile stuff. We'll see what actually happens there with the unemployment rate. I'm betting it comes in low because Bidenomics, we got to make this thing look great for the coming election. Yeah, it's all bullshit. It's all bull crap. Anyway, moving on to next week. Just looking down the pipe. Not much on Monday. Not a lot on Tuesday. Not a lot on Wednesday. Get some CPI on Thursday. PPI on... Hey, where's PPI? That's interesting. They're not going to report PPI. Oh, yeah, there it is. PPI on Friday. There it is. There it is. Just didn't scroll down far enough. So, CPI on Thursday, PPI on Friday. Next week, that's... Remember, we just talked about that chicken sandwich. I mean, come on. Come on. It's not 3%. Are you kidding? Year over year? It's not 3%. It's not 3%. Hey, my Comcast hit my target. Let's go look at that. Just got my alert. Comcast. Yeah, baby. So this was a 30-minute VVD entry right here. Looking for it to plunge on down. Probably make 50% of my options. Pretty good deal. The entry was right there. 1, 2, 3. There. Looking for a drop down in here. All right. Moving on. Moving on. S&P. Well, guess what? We continue the decline. We're pushing below that low we had from before Christmas. Trying to test it, trying to break below it. Can that be support? Could. Are we going to come on down and do the classic retest of the 100% breakout? Where we broke out of the July high. Will that be support? Possibly. Possibly right there. Or do we come on down and test the roadmap line right down in here? That'd be my preferred thing that we see in the market. And why do I want the market to go down? Because it flushes everything out, gets us all cleaned up and ready to go higher. If we do that, that sets us up for going a lot higher. A lot higher. I mean, that's a 618 retrace. And it's a measured bounce. And if you're not sure what all that even means, I have a fib class. Like I said, market math class coming up at 10:30. But if we retrace like that, we could potentially be setting up for a move up into this $5,500 area right there on the next move. If we come right down there, we find support and bounce. That next move can take us right up in there. Wouldn't that be pretty sweet? So don't get hung up in the short term. Don't get hung up in the long term until we actually do it. All right. Sit and wait. Sit and wait. Stock your entry. Wait for the thing. Pick your spot. Wait for it to happen. All right. Had this one up to begin with. And look, I said it was probably going to bounce at 20. We got a bounce. Do we continue the decline on down into the roadmap line? Maybe. We did get a small bounce so far. One thing to look at, $19 puts for next Friday. They're pretty juicy, like $75. Even if we went down and bounced off the roadmap line, you could probably sell calls. If you got put the shares at 19, you can still sell calls for ridiculous amounts of money. I'm thinking about selling a couple puts for next Friday. I sold some for this Friday at 20, and they were up like 80% at the close yesterday. So that was pretty good. Pretty darn good. And they expire tomorrow. So tomorrow's Friday already. First Friday in January. We're already burning through the first week. We got 51 weeks left after this. Craziness. Craziness. Time flies. Look at this. We hung out still at 91 yesterday. Still, even with the market pulling back. When this thing rolls, watch out, baby. We're setting up for a wicked pullback in the market. I mean, we're right at the end. Typically we don't go longer than about that far. Typically we don't hang out up here. Now, can this be the exception? Yeah, we can hang out here, another month, maybe 2. But it's not very likely, especially when you look at the history of this thing. This is like the giant market oscillator. If you've never seen this before, S5FI. Stocks above the 50-day moving average. Can you trade it? No, you can't trade it. You trade it by trading the S&P 500. We don't typically hang out above 80. All right, this is a market extreme. We're pushing things to the extreme. Markets don't like to be at extremes. Watch out. We are going to roll sometime or another. We may just come back to the 50, where half of the S&P 500 stocks are above the 50-day moving average and half of them are below. But we're not going to hang out above 80, especially at 91%. It's just not going to happen. We're not going to hang out indefinitely. We're going to come back down. And when we come back down, the market is going to pull back. Just how it happens. I mean, we're kind of flat this morning. Down a little bit, down 5. Not very big. I do expect us to come down and fill this gap. If not, come all the way down and test the roadmap line. If you're unfamiliar with ES, that's S&P 500 futures. They trade all night. And the overnight action last night was not very happening. And just kind of boring. We're getting a small drift off as we've come into the open. But look at the roadmap line. That's bearish. Nothing bullish about it. We haven't tested it since back here on Tuesday on this 30-minute chart. Pushing lower. How low do we go? I mean, look, we're already below the 2618. So we're likely to get a bounce here. You can see we found some support at that 1618. Retrace back to the breakout. The breakout being right there. And then we push lower. And now we're pushing through the 1618 again. We found support there all night. And now pushing down lower. See how this thing shapes up. Looks like we're going on down. Looks like we're going on down. Flipping back up to NASDAQ. So far, doing the thing I expected it to do. Let me know in the chat if any of this is surprising to you. Hopefully, you've been with me, and I've been expecting a pullback for a couple weeks now. And we're doing it. I mean, sometimes I get lucky, right? So, past performance not necessarily indicative of future results, but, some of the stuff's not rocket science. Russell coming back pretty fast. Do expect it to hit this right here. If you're unfamiliar with NQ, that's the NASDAQ. That's QQQ. Right? Just divide by 41 here. Russell here. I mean, that's IWM. has not left us any day trading opportunities. The gaps have been filling overnight, and that's likely to come back and visit the roadmap line. We find support here, we can go higher. If we break down below this support on any of these three charts, S&P, NASDAQ, look, they all have the same pattern. Exactly the same pattern. Russell, if we break down below this support on any of these charts, we could be in for a bigger, deeper retrace. All right. Oil. Interesting. Didn't break below the trend line. Kind of held on to it. Can we break above this resistance and the roadmap line? If we do, we're going up to 100 probably. 90 at least, probably $100 a barrel. If we break below the support, these lows, we're going on down to the 60s, maybe even the 50s. Gold, just churning. Looks like it's going to come down. This is a perfect example of an echo. Look at this, baby. I mean, see the big blue arrows right there. That's what the fib lines are. That first move down, this second move down, we may see gold retrace right down to 1935. Would not surprise me one single bit. It'll seem like it's pushing through the roadmap line. Yeah, because it's echoing this retrace here from right here, this high, pushing it right down there. That's what that big blue arrow off that high to the low, right there, matching twin moves. That's what this fib line represents. You can see it goes from the high to the low to the high. Right there. 1935 could possibly even push down to 1891 or 1836. That'd be a big retrace after an all-time high, wouldn't it? After hitting 2150, coming all the way back down to 1836. I mean, how many people are ready for that? So, fib class is the fib class. It's the market math class is an advertisement for the fib class, but I'm teaching some free stuff, so it is teaching, but it is an advertisement. So Bitcoin, getting a little reprieve here. Guess what? Let's remove a few of these things and clean this up just a little bit. JT said, if we broke in the channel, we would test the bottom of the channel, right? Everybody remember that? If you don't, welcome to the conversation. We talked about this. Broke back into the channel all the way back here. I said we'd test the bottom of the channel. Look, we did right there pretty strongly and rejected it. So going to continue to ride the channel. Looks like we got out of it, came back in it, kind of blurted up a little bit. Now we're back in it firmly. Looks like we're going to continue to ride this channel. Now, if we break out of the channel, that's okay. That can happen. I mean, we can get back out of the channel and accelerate away. But right now, I would expect we maintain this channel because we came back in kind of, and we tried to break out, got slammed back down, went back, tested the bottom of the channel again. It's just kind of proving that the channel is what we're riding in. All right. Can't get out of it. Can't get out of it. Probably going to stay in the channel. Now, if we get some closes down here, watch out. If we get some price action that actually breaks away from the channel, we can accelerate higher. We do have an ETF approval coming out in the next week. Well, it's in the next few days at this point. Probably, if we look at the calendar, we're down to today, tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Why Wednesday? Because that's the deadline for ARK approval or denial. That's the final deadline. They can't, if they deny ARK has to start over, or it's going to be a lawsuit. All right. BlackRock is on the 15th. So something's happening next week. Final deadline for BlackRock on the 15th. So we've got basically next week, we're going to get some ETF approval action, and it's likely to happen 9th or 10th. And they're likely to just approve all the ones that have their crap together, so to speak. Now, can this create a squeeze in Bitcoin? Sure. Can it create a sell the news event in Bitcoin? Sure. All right. Is anything for sure at this point? No. In fact, when you zoom out, I've been expecting a larger retrace. Look at this. I mean, we're right in the zone where I drew a big arrow for a retrace. I've just kind of been expecting this. I mean, it's just kind of in the chart. We came up, we hit the target area, and I expect a bigger retrace. And that may take us through the halving event. You may be like, what halving event? I thought we were just talking about ETF approvals. Yeah, ETF approvals is one thing, but once we get 15,672 more blocks, we're going to have a halving event. And right now, when a miner like Mara, Riot, Hut, BTBT, all the other ones out there, CleanSpark, you name it, they mine Bitcoin. When they mine a block of Bitcoin, they get 6.25 Bitcoins. You're like, holy crap, that's like $43,000 times 6.25? Yeah, that's why mining Bitcoins is kind of lucrative. Now, in 106 days, roughly, when we get 15,672 more blocks mined out, that gets cut in half. Instead of getting 6.25 Bitcoins, you now get 3.125. This is by design. As we get closer and closer to mining out the 21 million Bitcoins, the maximum supply, every 200,000 blocks or so, we cut that payout for miners in half. It takes about 4 years to get 200,000 blocks. And the decay rate, that means we're going to be mining Bitcoin for the next 150 years before we get to that 21 millionth, that final Bitcoin payout. So the next one, though, going to happen in about 106 days. The 3 previous halving events have been quite bullish. You know, all the halving events have been quite bullish. Usually resulting in price going up 10 to 20x from the lows. The lows being right back here in November, around 15,000. So we're talking 10x, that's $150,000 of Bitcoin. 20x, that's $300,000 of Bitcoin. 10 to 20x, that's what we can expect. It's just what's typically happened in the past. So we're talking about a move right up here. 150 to 300,000. That'd be pretty sweet, right? So that's why I'm kind of long Bitcoin. But I'm long in a strategic way. Ethereum doesn't have to do that, though. And it looks like it may. We broke down below that. Kind of getting a little bit of pop today. If we confirm being below that trend line, watch out below. Watch out below. And we came back, we're retesting, we pushed down, retesting. If we can get back above it, we're going positive. If we don't, if we reject it, we're going on down. And Ethereum can go on down while Bitcoin goes positive. Dollar, probably going to continue right back up and retest this while the market pulls back. It's not going to surprise me one bit. When we get up here, if the market has reached the roadmap line, like the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Russell, all that, when they reach the roadmap line, if the dollar reaches the roadmap line, the dollar is probably going to turn down while the market all turns up. Just be a funny coincidence, right? Just, isn't that funny? MSTR getting a little pop this morning. Not huge. Still kind of expecting this to retrace after that giant run higher. Lily making the list, popping up higher. Didn't retrace to the roadmap line. Are we going for an extension? I don't know. Maybe. Came up short before. Retraced. Held a higher low. Probably going to push out to 647 on the upside. Maybe a little higher. Maybe 650. Have to see. Have to see. And if how I'm using the fib lines doesn't make sense, come visit the class I got going on at 10:30. I'll throw I have it up in the chat, but I'll throw it in here again. Let me copy and repaste it. Come join me. Oh, clicked the wrong button. Right there. And come join me. All right. And remember, if anything I said is helpful today, give me a thumbs up. Give me a like. MINN, look at that pop, but that's a garbage chart. Oh my gosh, garbage. Don't mess with stuff like that. Reverse splits, garbage. Complete garbage. I wouldn't even trade that with your money. Biotech. Biotech's dangerous. Just FDA approvals, FDA denials. They're running. I mean, they're losing money. And this is an environment where losing money costs you money. So stay away from biotechs. Oil. Well, that's a decaying asset. And looks pretty bad. Looks pretty bad. Golly. Can't even get it to... Getting a little bit of pop, but let's go look at natural gas. Coming back up to the roadmap line. Watch out for resistance right there. We breaking through the downtrend there. It was just a little bitty downtrend off of a few highs. See if that can... If it rejects that, that may be the next leg down. If we reject that right there, that roadmap line. All right. Coin. Well, Bitcoin's up a little bit, so, I mean, all the things are related to Bitcoin, showing a little bit of pop this morning, but watch out for continued downside. If we break down below that channel in Bitcoin, though, we're going to get a deeper retrace. So we got to hold the channel. And we're seeing a little positive action so far. But if we get below the channel, we're coming back down in this area. And whether it happens now or from up here, so just be careful. CPE. Interesting. That's kind of a sideways chop, though. Look, the roadmap line has a downward push to it. Do you want to get involved in something going down? If it doesn't have a definitive break, I mean, this was the lowest low. That could just be a retest before we push lower. This could be the roadmap line pattern upside down. And we could push down 26, possibly 24. DG. Same situation. Coming up into the resistance. Has a gap fill. Sitting out, hanging out there too. Then we bounced. Bounce. Gap down. Now we're having trouble getting back up, and then we got a gap up here to go. You know, there's lots of resistance going higher on DG. And inflation's sucking for them too, because you know, dollar store is not able to even charge $1 anymore. I mean, they're playing the downsize game. Probably see that, if not an extension lower, if we break through the 618 level. Now, if we hold the 618 level, we hold that right there, we could actually bust up through and start turning that frown upside down and get on an uptrend. But we got some work to do. It's got some work to do. So watch for a reversal here, but so far it looks more like we could get continuation. Now, a couple things to watch. Connect that up off the lows. If we get below that, it starts tipping the odds we're going on down. That's the first warning. We get below the trend line of the lows. Second warning, we get below the 618, then we're probably coming on down 88.74. Now, if we start getting above the roadmap line, that tilts the odds going higher. Where's the high probability pattern right now? There isn't one. There's nothing high probability in here at the moment. That's why I'm not trading it. SPRC. That's a downtrend. Even though it's popped up hitting the roadmap line today, that's a downtrend. It may just get extension lower. Right like that. If oil breaks on down, a lot of these petroleum things are probably going to suck on down with it. So far, this one's a potentially positive. First one. If we get back above this consolidation, that garbly goo right there, we get above it, probably going up to 33, maybe 37. TMV may retrace back to the roadmap line. Watch for that. Or it could just break on down. I mean, we're back to the resting spot, basically. Do we come on down to the bottom? Do we retrace back to the roadmap line? This thing's kind of been flat for a long time. We got a little spike, but it's kind of like so many charts where we break out of the nothing, go exponential, and then come right back down and get boring again. CF potential to go higher. Breaking above the 618, back above this consolidation. Starts tipping the odds. 91, possibly 96. 70% likely we may see this continue right on up here. 30% likely it fails. All right, yeah. Well, there's probably more than 3 likes, but hey, I do appreciate the interaction with the video. Oh my gosh, look at that one. Ouch. This is why I say, don't mess with crap that's just chopping sideways. Ouch. Yep. Obelag. And at this point, we may go lower low. That all looks corrective. Watch out below. 19, maybe where we head. We could see this. Possibly even down to 11. NXPI. Whew, that's some volatile, choppy stuff. And retracing with the rest of semiconductors. And that doesn't look overly bullish either. So we may see this push lower. MDB. Right back to the roadmap line. Watch for it to hold support. If we do and turn up, that's positive. We did not break out last time though. This is one of those 30%. Didn't go on the extension. Retrace. If we can hold here, that may be the target at 470. But if we start pushing on down, get below the roadmap line, watch out for the other pattern. The one I was showing off earlier on gold, where we could see a push down in this area right around 300. SOXX, probably retracing back to the roadmap line. ADI, right back to the roadmap line. Watch for it to hold support. We didn't break out on that one either. If we can hold a higher low, we may go for that 210 area. Came up just shy of my target, like twice. Well, that one kind of hit the target. That was a long-term target for this big pullback over here on the weekly chart. See right there, weekly roadmap bounce. And we popped up. Got a little bit more to go. 205-ish would be my expectation. Getting that retrace. We may pop right on up, hit 211. Could go for 226 even though. Wouldn't surprise me. All right, moving on. TXN. Back to the roadmap line. Classic. Lots of the same patterns. ON. I kind of rejected off the roadmap line. It's a little more bearish here on ON. If we get below the 618 level, right here, this would be move or retrace, get below that 618, starts tipping the odds, just like on the upside, tips the odds. We're going down to 54 on ON. Snow, probably coming back to the roadmap line. At least coming back for the gap fill. FNGU probably coming back to the roadmap line. Microchip back to the roadmap line. If we can hold it, could go higher, but the way all the SOXX and SMH and all those things are tipping the hand, we may see a deeper retrace in all these microchip stocks. APTV looks like we're going down in a blaze of glory. Ooh, holding right at the 618. We get below that, starts tipping the odds down to 66 right there. Calm. Calmain Foods. What a choppy, nasty chart. That may retrace the roadmap line and set up something more bullish here. Ugh. Just looks nasty at this point. Just nasty chart. TMF. Yeah, look at that. Right back into the roadmap line. Didn't do the big spike. Did a little baby spike. Now, do we hold the roadmap line or do we reject it and come on down? That is the question. Like reverse splits. That's not usually bullish. Wouldn't that be a shocker? Everybody thinks Treasury is going higher. Wouldn't that be a shocker? Let me know what you think there. Would that be a shocker to everybody? Treasury pools go crushing down. That'd be pretty wicked. QRVO. Coming back to the roadmap line. That's still sideways choppy. I wouldn't mess with it at this point. Amazon hit the target at 155. And I expected it to retrace. If we can hold that breakout point, hold the breakout point, we could rally up to that 160. I mean, I drew it on the chart and it freaking did it. Sometimes I get lucky. So far. I mean, look. 1272, back to the 100. Hold here, we could go positive. But if we get below, if we get much close in here, we're coming back to the roadmap line at the minimum. If we get below that roadmap line in the 618, we're going down deeper. So watch for a bounce on Amazon. Does it have to bounce? Shoot, no. Be careful, all right? It does not have to do that, but it has the setup to do that. How likely is that? That's a 40%. It's only a 40% chance. So 60% chance we fail and go on down to the roadmap line. ALV, that's why I don't necessarily trade that move. ALV probably come back to the roadmap line right here. Apple, back to the roadmap line. Surprise. We hit the target. Dang. Sometimes I get lucky. I thought we would take a little longer, but looky. It's better be lucky or good. I don't know. I'll take luck. Dang. Sometimes I get lucky. That was a good one. I closed my trade 2 days ago. Maybe I should have held it. I don't know. That was a beautiful move. STM, getting below the roadmap line. This is what I'm afraid of to see on lots of microchip stocks. So we're going to get below this and go deeper. QCOM, probably coming back to the roadmap line. Drew a big target already. SMH, like I said, probably coming back to like this is since SOXX and SMH haven't hit the roadmap line. This is like the tell that we're probably going deeper in semiconductors. TEL is coming back to the roadmap line more than likely. Bulls, Fang, Innovation probably coming back to the roadmap line. I mean, it's the same story all over the market. We're probably getting a bigger, deeper retrace. ILMN looks like we glanced off of the roadmap line. Just came up short. How much deeper the downtrend would go. So watch for support right here. If we get below that, Probably coming down here. And that's the list. And if you got requests, that's what we do on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. is the request show. The morning show is just looking for stuff moving for the day. And there you go. So bias for the day. After this 4-day pullback, we may get a little reprieve. I actually would kind of feel better if we did a 618 retrace. We actually came back up right to here and then turned down again. That would actually be very organized for a correction and make me feel a lot better that we're going to stop at the roadmap line. So watch for, I guess, watch that 47.50 area. If we start breaking through that, we're going on an extension higher, more than likely. Could be up to an all-time high, 48.20. Comes in right there. We didn't get it on the attempt before Christmas or before New Year's. We've moved on down. This could have been the recharge we need to go pop that. So I'm cautious at the moment. We may see a little retrace here. Make a little positive action here for a day or two. If we hold that, watch out below. If we break through it, could go up. All right. That's it's kind of my lookout for the day. I've got this class coming up in about 20 minutes, so hope to see you there. The link's right up there in the chat. And thanks for coming, everybody.